Hello, this is Yaro, and I am the founder of Patric.ai. Today, I'm doing something that I think may be a big part of our future as a company. I'm recording this podcast episode, this audio content, using my phone. I'm using the Google Recorder app because I have a Google Pixel phone. And I'm doing this because I'm contemplating our target audience for Patric. So if you're new to the show, this is the official Patric podcast. It is for background stories, me just explaining what's going on behind the scenes with this company. This is a startup. It's very much in flux. We haven't found product market fit yet. We haven't even got a customer yet. As I record this, we're literally just building the version 1.0, which is almost ready. Our uploading and hosting and distributing and publishing a podcast function is pretty much ready to go. We're just getting the final tests done, and we'll have that open to get users. But while that's happening, I am thinking about the future, as entrepreneurs always do. And I'm considering, okay, podcasting. It's a old medium. It's a crowded space. There's a lot of companies that already do podcast hosting. It's fairly commoditized. Usually it's just a price battle. Whoever has the best for the cheapest is the company that people choose. There are some things that make Patric different even now with our version 1.0, which is our AI cover art and article generation. So that's something that is a little special, but not necessarily, a competitive advantage forever. It's quite easy to replicate. And my goal with Patric has always been to make audio if audio is your default content medium, to make you have the option to publish it easily everywhere. Now, when I say that, I also think about who wants to do that. An important question as a business is, who are we helping? Why do you want to do that? With podcasting, the answer can be straightforward. People who want to podcast, it's a defined market. They have all kinds of reasons. It could be just for the fun, the hobby. It could be to grow an audience and start a business. It could be as a marketing tool for a business. It could just be something you want to experiment with and potentially see where it goes. But it's an established thing to do. It's been around for 20 years now. So it's not new. And in fact, half of the United States currently listens to podcasts. So it's definitely a medium that people are well and truly aware of, at least as a consumer. As podcast producers, though, there's far fewer. So the numbers are very small. There's about 4.5 million podcasts in the world. And of those, 10% really get the audience. So we're talking 450,000 podcasts are the main content producers that get listened to by that half of the United States and beyond. So the 150 plus Americans are consuming the content of these 450,000 podcasters, and most of the other podcasts are not getting very far because people are giving up quite quickly, and often it's because of technical challenges, which is one of the thesis behind Patric as a solution, is to make podcasting easier, make it as simple as what I'm doing now, recording on my phone. When this audio is done, I will simply go to Patric.ai. I will go to the upload page. I will choose this file off my phone, upload it, and then I will publish it to the Patric podcast, which is already set up within my Patric account, which will make it go live on the Patric podcast website and all the podcasting platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and so on. So that's a pretty cool feature, something I'm already excited to get out the door. But as I say that, I also think, maybe podcasting isn't the most popular thing to do as a step one. And it's also harder to get an immediate benefit from it. There's a lot of people who podcast with very few listeners, and they just keep doing it because they enjoy it. But that's a hard market to want to serve if you're spending money. It's kind of like a hobby. So that's why there's this concept called pod fade, where podcasters just disappear before they even finish 3 episodes, which I would hope Patric can help at least not necessarily solve, but reduce the number of podcasts that do give up, or podcasters that do give up, because you can just do what I'm doing right now. I literally just had this thought and I wanted to talk about it. So I opened up my phone and I started talking, and that's it. So I'd like that to be something that is available to people and also makes the publishing of that content easier. And we're basically there. But my question I start to think about is, what's a motivation for a person to do more than that with audio? So the immediate next step or potential goal for a person is actually the marketing of the podcast, which usually talks about social media as one possible point. You want to share your episode on social channels. Some people talk about other things like, doing guest swaps, other ways to market, but really social is like the default choice for most people, and most people understand it. You share content on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, on your Instagram. So I've always had the plan to look at integrating a social media component into Patric, but it can go more than just promoting your podcast that you make with Patric. It could be the reason you use Patric in the first place. Now, what do I mean by that? So Patric has always been about using your voice to create content. Now, podcasting was a natural starting point because that is the most common tool for using a voice to create content, or the most common media format. But you can use voice to create pretty much anything. I mean, video is the hardest to turn voice into video. It's certainly very possible with AI. It's just harder to control for quality, being a more dynamic medium. But going from voice to, say, a written piece of content and a graphical piece of content is much easier, which is why we do that already with cover art and search engine optimized articles for all the podcasts on Patric. But that can be used to also create, say, a Facebook and LinkedIn post. So, a typical written post with a graphical image could be created from a 5-minute voice audio. So a possible vision for Patric, and this is what I've been contemplating a lot in the last 24 hours, is making Patric available as a social media, easy to publish and easy to create tool just using your phone. So I'm not going to create a recording tool right now. We're looking at that possibly in the future, but it's not necessary given that all phones come with the thing I'm using right now, some sort of voice recorder. So if you're in your car, you open up your voice recorder, you just had a thought for a piece of content you wanted to post to LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. Obviously, it needs to be the more text-based social platforms. I wouldn't be choosing TikTok for this, YouTube either, but certainly Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, especially LinkedIn, Facebook being more likely to have a graphic plus text, and Instagram too, but it tends to lean more to graphic and video and less to the text. But you certainly could post to all three by just simply recording a 5-minute audio or less or more of your thoughts, and then Patric will generate the text and the image and auto post it to your social profiles once you've connected them. So it becomes a very simple tool for publishing direct to social. Like you're driving in your car, you have an idea, you stop, you pull over, you're talking to your phone for 5 minutes, you upload the file to Patric, boom, it's straight away on all your 3 main text-based social profiles, and away you go. So we can do similar with podcasting in the sense that a podcast file is obviously ripe for being turned into multiple social media posts as well. So we could have a function where the podcast you just recorded, it's not just a podcast for your website, your podcast website, but it also produces a series of clips. When I say clips, though, they'll be more text-based with a graphic, not video. So you'll get like maybe a week's worth of posts that can automatically go to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram that essentially are some of the ideas from that podcast episode shared as social media posts and pointing back to the podcast, obviously, to listen to the whole story. So we start to provide some of the marketing tools for the podcaster, which I suspect is probably the next function I would like to build. And then when you build that, you basically are building the social media tool as well, because that's what it is. It's turning audio into social media posts. So we could probably roll out both at the same time, a direct to social, audio to social short clips, plus turning your podcast into clips, which are then shared automatically on your profile. So that's, to me, a very useful feature, but it does make an important change. And here's what I'm contemplating. Now, I'm literally riffing to you off the back of my thoughts from the last 24 hours. None of this is conclusive. And I'm doing this because that's what I want the Patric podcast to be, a place for me to document everything I go through as I grow Patric. And I'm trying to find product market fit. I'm trying to get customers, and I'm trying to make this into ultimately, I'm trying to get this into an 8-figure business. That would be my dream. If we can get to 10 million plus in revenue, I will consider job well done. I'd like to grow more than that, but hey, we have to get to $100 first. So, and why I contemplate this issue now with what we're targeting, who we're targeting, what we're letting people do, it plays a big part in how I present Patric as a solution to a problem and who I present that solution to. Are we a social media marketing tool where we allow you to use audio to reach more people, to have your presence online in multiple places? Or are we a podcasting tool where we're going to the podcasting market? That's very different, because the social media or audio to content publication market could essentially be a small business marketing tool, which is a much larger, more money spending audience than the people who want to podcast. Now, the good thing is they're kind of like doorways into each other. People who start creating social content using audio are only one step away from starting to podcast. And people who are podcasting will happily like to see social media content made from their podcast. They're probably already doing that using other tools. So, to have it available as just a standard feature would be an important thing to have. So I don't know. For me, this is all about targeting and target markets and picking an audience to go after, which plays a big part in how I go and message and market this business, which is richly my job for this year. So I'm really, really contemplating what I'm going to do with that. And I want to make sure I make a smart choice here. I don't want to spend too much time going after the wrong market and getting no traction, but I have to run experiments. So I'm not sure. I get excited about both because I think they're all useful tools, but I want to try and get to the point where Patric is one of those solutions where it solves a core broad need with specific solutions. So when I say core broad need, you're trying to market your small business and you're an audio person. I'm basically describing myself. I don't like creating video as much as I like creating audio. I'm recording this right now, literally wearing, my household clothes. I only woke up an hour ago. I am far from being presentable on video. I don't have to worry about lighting. I don't have to worry about being in my studio or, what clothes I wear. All those things that you have to worry about with video. And the great thing is this is also something that can still go on video. Like if you publish a podcast through Patric and you link it to your YouTube for podcasts on YouTube, YouTube actually does create a video version. Now, of course, there's no visual animation, but it does appear in the YouTube index. It is searchable and findable and discoverable within YouTube. So your podcast exists there as well, which is important. YouTube is one of the most best places for discovering content. So I love the idea of being an audio to everywhere platform. And if you are an audio creator like myself, and that's your default, that's your go-to, and you want to use that to create all other forms of content, whether it's audio to audio like podcasting, or audio to text like audio to a blog post, audio to a social media, and all the way to what I talked about in the first episode of the Patric podcast, even audio to creating a book, writing a book, or I guess in that case it would be audio writing a book, where you're taking your audio content and having Patric, the AI, turn that into chapters of a book that you slowly compile by doing, again, exactly what I'm doing right now. I could sit here and maybe have some notes in front of me and talk out. Doesn't have to be perfect. Could just be me just sort of rambling concepts and how I want things to connect. And that could then be turned into a few pages or a chapter of this book that I'm slowly producing every day using my voice, which frankly is a lot faster than typing. I've written many large pieces of content, books and ebooks, and it takes me months. And I could imagine it would probably take me, in terms of recording audio, I could do it just 2 or 3 hours would be enough for a short book, and probably somewhere between 8 to 12 hours for a full-size book of audio recording. And that could be done in a week if I was focusing only on that. But certainly, a month of recording half an hour a day would get me there, no problem at all. So it presents another opportunity for book content creators. Now, is that something that should not be part of the service? Should that just be a standalone niche that would be supported 100%? Like, let's build an AI to book publishing tool that's just all about that and specialize in that and provide more tools, maybe more post-editing tools. Yes, but at the same time, I love the value add of knowing that Patric is just this one-stop solution. And I'm noticing this. Normally I would be like, this is too many markets to serve. This is book writers, this is podcasters, this is small business owners. I can't go after all those people. I don't have the resources to run multi-channel marketing to different groups like that. I need to find my first one, get my MVP out there, get my initial traction, find that product market fit, and expand, land and expand. And that's still the plan. But I am definitely seeing that some of the most successful AI tools are kind of like those all-in-one resources where you literally get a chat box and it's like, hey, you can produce a video with this. You can produce a slide presentation. In particular, I'm thinking of, what is the name of that tool? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's not one of the main AI, it's not like Claude or Gemini or one of the big players. It's a smaller standalone company, but they just have put together using AI, the large language models on the back, a really great interface to produce pretty much all forms of, all kinds of things, from writing your emails to you to creating video slide presentations. It's a little bit unintuitive, I find, to use it, but it's very popular, and I think especially as a workflow tool for people in businesses, company employees. So as always, though, it's the target market that really matters, and that's why I'm thinking so heavily about this. What is my land and expand target market? Is it podcasters? Should I just focus on serving that need, building more tools for them, knowing I'm going up against incumbents that already have very similar tools, if not exactly the same tools, and are even the most successful ones aren't super huge. This is one of the things I'm a little concerned about, is just the overall size of the podcasting industry. It's not huge. The biggest companies in it are not huge. They're still very successful in terms of 30 million a year revenue. But if that's your largest company in an industry, that means we're all fighting for a fairly small pie. Ultimately, the podcast hosting pie, where the social media marketing pie is a lot larger because every company on the planet is doing some form of social media marketing. So there's a pie there where we can grab a slice and more likely, just have a bigger pie to eat from in order to get to that 10 million mark in terms of ARR. So that's what is making me kind of lean in that direction. And that makes me lean towards audio to social media posting as a more important feature to focus on now, rather than making more podcast specific features, because we have what we already need for podcasting. And if we can build the social posting part, we've got the social posting part as a standalone tool as well. So that's what I'm thinking. I change my mind very quickly. I'm researching all the time. I'm using large language models like Gemini just to understand the market more and get some stats and things like that. So no doubt this will change, but I wanted to track this, share it to my Patric podcast so I have it for myself. And you can also hear behind the scenes as I go about building this company. If you have any thoughts, I would love to hear from you. Just email me. You can email Yaro, Yaro, at Patric.ai. That's Patric.ai. Any thoughts, any features you'd like? I'd love to hear from you. Any comments are great. I'm here, in the darkness trying to get this company started. So I love the feedback. I just know you're listening and you care, and that's important to me. Okay, that's it from me. I will see you on the next episode.